I know you had him on so often, and it meant a lot to him. People didn't understand when he left the show live, he had no intention of retiring. People thought he was retiring, and so he wasn't getting calls. And you called him, and it meant the world because he says, "Why do they think I'm retiring? I'm not retiring." And I said, "Well, you said it," and so people believed you. And then in July, I was back. I live in Tennessee now, but I was up at my house in Connecticut, and I always called them because they summered there. And I said, "Can we have lunch? I'm only here for a little while. Can we?" Because we always made a point of getting together.
A time for each other.
We always did. If I went to California, we had dinner. They came to my house in Connecticut. We had lunch. And he'd always walk around my house. He goes, "And yet another place to eat. And yet another place to eat." He was just precious. So he comes in and we have a lovely lunch. And I look over at him. I go, "Regis, you still have the best head of hair in the whole world." And he's just sort of beaming. And Joy says, tell her, Regis." He goes, "What? What you said this morning?" He goes, "What I say?" And he said, she looks at me, she says, "He said to me this morning, we're going to see Kath today, right?" And she goes, "Yes, honey, we're going over to her house for lunch." She goes, "Good, but I don't like my hair, Joy. You're going to have to do my hair. Wash it and blow dry it. I don't like my hair, and I need to look good for Kath."
Oh,
I was like so touched by that. And then when he left, I felt like it was going to be the last time I'd see him. I had to come back to Tennessee to work, and I just, my heart was full, but I was so grateful that I had the opportunity that we laughed for 3 hours.
Beautiful.
And then
thing.
when he died, I don't know what it was, except it's God. Anytime you get this feeling, you need to do something. I wasn't going to be in Connecticut, and I just felt like I was get on the first plane tomorrow. Get on the first plane out of here. I go, okay. I go home. I land to the news that Regis had passed away. So I literally just live a few miles from them. So and I went over, and Joy and the girls were going through in the living room, going through old pictures and memorabilia of Regis. He never threw anything away, so there was tons of stuff, and they were laughing and then crying and laughing and crying. But Joy was able to tell me, she said, "Kathie, that was the last time I heard Regis laugh. Was that day at your house with him." So, yeah, it was just kind of the Lord to give me that sweet memory with him and Joy.
What I remember about him is not what his incredible timing or the professional that he always was on set, but that he just didn't want to leave the audience. He would sit and chat with people. He'd walk right up to them and just talk to person after person. He wanted to know people, and he really made eye contact with them and cared about. He was such a great human being. He's a singular man. He had such a joy for life,
He lived off the love from people, Rachel. Yeah. He really did. He'd walk in, even if it's a crowded restaurant or nobody there, he'd walk into anywhere we were and he'd go, "Regis is here. Hello, Regis is here. Look who can't get enough of me." He'd start yelling. And you're right, he'd go to every single person, and they all wanted to just enjoy being with him. And I think he kind of died of a broken heart, actually.
Broken heart, yeah.
That he couldn't do that anymore. He lived for going out to lunch out in California with his friends, and then all of a sudden you're in lockdown, and you can't even do that. So he couldn't do the performing he lived for, and then he couldn't even have the joy of a simple lunch with an old friend.
You're so right, Kathie Lee. It's really about, that was the essence of him. He would feed off of other people more so than food. That
Absolutely.
was his, yeah.
Yes, and that's why people sensed that was authentic in him, and they loved him. I mean, they just loved him. There wasn't a day. I mean, I worked with him for 15 amazing years, but then it's been 20 years since I left that show, which is hard to believe. But we became much even deeper friends after I left as colleagues. I don't know. We just shared so much life together, loss, heartbreak, deaths, and births, and children. And I mean, my kids, they've never known anything other than Uncle Regis and Aunt Joy, and I just adored him. And I will to the day I die. I just adored him. And I miss him.
So lucky to have him in our lives.
I think when he went to heaven, you know what he said when he got through the gate? "Regis is here."